is easy to define. Steady living bring you peace of mind. But would you ever trip my line? Steady living, a change of lifestyle. Steady living with my body.
Welcome back to the Peach Permaculture Project in the Spokane Valley. Today is Thursday, the 25th of June. We're finishing up the last of our planting. We know it's a little bit behind the regular course, but that's how far we made it, and that's where we're at. We're accepting it and making the most of it. Most of the field is full and seeded or planted. A lot of seeds are coming up. Starting to see a lot of our first melons and cucumbers out in the field over there. Our squashes, summer squashes are coming up. We've got our cucumbers in the ground, our trellises raised in raised beds. We've got them all mulched with manure. And as the seeds of the things we're keeping cool, like arugula and lettuces and whatnot that are behind the cucumbers, in the hopes that the cucumbers will create shade, and then on the north side we'll have the things that we need to keep cool so they don't bolt. Once they come up, we'll go ahead and mulch those out with hay. We've got our water systems all fixed up and working, so the whole field can be watered without moving pipes. There's just a few sprinklers that we have to move here and there, and that'll save us a considerable number of man hours throughout the course of the summer. I spent the weekend traveling around Oregon, celebrating the summer solstice with some friends from afar, and got to see a lot of different farms and compare how different things function. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of farms that when they focus on the production, they mechanize a lot more than we do. A lot of farms that use a lot of permacultural techniques are a lot smaller scale than this, is what I found. And I learned a lot of ways to improve and do things differently next year, but I also remembered and learned that our garden is quite special and it's quite different. I haven't found any that are doing things by the same means and practices. I haven't found them doing things to as fun of different shapes and layouts. And it just was a reminder that we've got something a little bit different and special out here. Well, we've still got some beans to plant, some black bush beans, and we can do that in stages all through the summer. And some A and C pickling cucumbers, we're kind of putting the last of those in the ground. It's kind of the last chance for those. And we've got our parsleys that we're interplanting them with, with tomatoes and with our soul-free greens here and there, just to create a biodiversity wherever we plant. And we talked to someone today who said that they would like a lot of brandywine tomatoes over the summer, so we're going to go ahead and take the last of our brandywines and fill in the rest of this row. And then that's pretty much it. There's some spaces here. The north end of our, what it looks like from above or on the map is kind of like an infinity. We've got the circles on either end, the big keyholes with our fruit trees and our strawberries over there. And this side over here, we didn't quite get to it. We've gotten pretty late in the season, so over the course of the next few days, we'll raise some beds in there. We'll start on that project, and we've got a lot of herbs and specialty plants and flowers in the greenhouse that we'll put out there. And part of that's just going to get seeded in a cover crop for this year. And even though it's in the middle, that's where we're going to do some of our cover cropping this year, and we'll just enrich the soil for next year. And then next year, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And then we've got our Shiva Lingam and Yoni bed over there for our celebration of fertility in the new, and that's been built and it's in its evolution, and it's going to be planted over the next few days. We've got a lot of special things in the greenhouse, daturas and several plants that have like certain like spiritual medicinal uses and qualities to them, and other plants just for their beauty. Cut flowers, we'll put some wild bergamot and other things in there, and some different mints like basil and others that just for their beauty and their smell, and that'll be one of our most fun zones in the garden. So we'll be working on that mandala next, and we'll piece this mandala together a little bit over the next week, and what's left after that I think is going to get cover cropped because it's that time. It's time to focus on harvesting. We did some harvesting this weekend though, those that were here, our faithful volunteers and Bright Spirit got a lot of harvesting done and got some food taken into the Community Roots Market on Sunday, which they seem to do quite well with. And tomorrow we'll be harvesting again for some of our next markets. Salads, and this week will be salads and beets. And then peas will come next. We'll start harvesting peas within the next couple weeks or so. Some of our tomatoes are starting to set fruit. A lot of them are flowering, and the flowers, we've been picking them off to try and allow the plants to get bigger as opposed to fruiting earlier. It seemed like, with some exceptions, right here we've got some that are flowering. I think I might just let them go do their thing right now and let them go ahead and start producing. For the most part, though, we're picking the flowers off and allowing them to get bigger so that they produce more over the course of the season. Our blueberries, we kept 2 blueberries with the flowers on them, and the rest of them we cleaned all the flowers off early in the spring so that they would grow and establish themselves more. We figured being it's a permaculture farm, we're trying to think about what's happening 2-3 years from now. So that's why when some would be focusing on just getting all their annuals in as fast as they can, we took some time out and put in these wonderful fruit trees and some strawberries. We're not allowing to produce much this year. We're picking most of the flowers off them, and our blueberries. Just looking at how we can create that part of the food forest for next year and the year to come. So that we'll see a lot of progress on that in our 3rd year out here is what I suspect. Oh, there's a variety of them. We have this zone here that I want to do more permanent, more perennial. There'll be spaces in between all the perennials for annuals. Right now, all we really have is a lot of like rosemary, mints, and cunt flowers, and mainly basil. So yeah, I guess it's going to be it's going to be about half and half annuals and perennials. I can't remember all the perennials right now. We have some perennials and some other herbal annuals that we'll want to form that hill over there into a spiral at some point. There's another one by the sprout house. And then we've got this here that we'd like to make into some sort of mandala with a little more permanence. But this year it might be a lot of cover crop. Well, due to all the heavy snow that we had in Spokane this last December, a lot of roofs and hay coverings collapsed. A lot of hay got wet and went beyond what people want to use for feeding. Like this stuff over here. Pretty gnarly stuff. Not really what you're trying to feed your horses. You can see the dust from all the mold and all the breaking down of it. And but all the mold and bacteria and the carbonic matter is great for our fields. So that's what we're using for mulch this year. A lot of people would prefer straw, I think, because they can find fewer seeds in it. I feel like, after having turned the soil, we've brought so many seeds up. There's a carpet of them right here in front of me. So there's no avoiding it. Like, anything that we don't cover and mulch well or weed will be filled in by nature almost immediately, faster than we can ever fill it in ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and use it and add a lot of green matter or brown matter to the field, and eventually it helps raise the soil a little bit as it breaks down. It feeds the soil. It's keeping the soil cool, and it's keeping it wet. It's shading the top part of the soil, so it's just healthier for all the mycorrhizae and bacteria and worms and everything else. I think it's a good thing. So we probably have about 2 tons that we got out here. Jessica and Kevin and St. Even came out and volunteered and brought all this out for us. Okay, so these are some of our first projects. Rose put a lot of effort into getting these done and done on time and done really well. Her meticulous efforts can really be appreciated now that things are growing in. We've got our protection there to bring in the beneficial insects, our calendulas. We've got a few peas nitrating the soil and climbing up the trellises. We've got tomatoes along the middle of the trellis. Our chard's looking fantastic. And then kind of in the shade of the tomatoes and the chard is some lettuce that otherwise, some of these lettuces, maybe not in this bed, but some of the others would be bolting at this time. So got a little bit of midsummer season extension that way. There are some flowers at the end, and the lettuce is looking fantastic. Of course, there's some other herbs mixed in. Some parsley, a little bit of dill.
Steady living is easy to define. Steady living bring you peace of mind. But would you ever trip my line? Steady living, a change of lifestyle.